Explorer's been hit. Explorer, do you read? Explorer, over. Explorer. Astronaut is off structure. Dr. Stone is off structure. Dr. Stone is intact. You must detach. Don't detach that arm's going to carry you too far. Listen to my voice. You need to focus. I'm losing visual of you. In a few seconds, I won't be able to track you. You need to detach. I can't see you anymore. Do it now.
Ben, I'm going to tell you this for free, right? I am never, ever going to space.
No, yeah, fuck space.
Fuck space.
If it's not aliens, it's just space trying to kill you. There's nothing fucking good in space. It's just a fucking hellhole.
And, no one's gone through more hell in space without aliens than Sandra Bullock. Recently.
Yeah, she had it rough.
Well, you could argue that George Clooney had it pretty rough as well.
He had it probably worse.
Except he did get to look at her bottom, probably, at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say, for how old Sandra Bullock?
She must be getting on now.
And you know what? She's looking okay.
She is, yeah. Yeah, she is. She's not young.
Her bottom's looking more okay than a lot of her, but... I've never used the word bottom before. I'm normally like arse, but I just feel that's just... I need to say bottom with her. It just feels more right.
Sandra Bullock's getting on towards 50, you know. So...
If I look like that when I'm 50, well, we'll have to some serious questions, because,
Yeah.
But, anyway, so do you want to talk about the film?
Yeah, let's not get too sidetracked about Sandra Bullock's bottom. So Gravity, it's kind of feels like it's been in a long time coming, this film. It feels like it should have been out in September, the amount of kind of hype and advertisements, just general chat about it that there's been.
It doesn't help that the Americans got it a few weeks before us, so we've been hearing such good things, like from not just from pre-screenings and stuff, but from actual screenings, and seeing the news that it's topped the box office ahead of like Thor and stuff. While we don't have it yet, it was a bit frustrating because I thought it was going to be quality. Yeah,
well, it's kind of been one of the films to watch for over the last few months, and now that we've got it, I can say, fucking hell, it's great. It's worth every bit of the hype. Everything you've heard that praises this for being this cinematic marvel is completely founded. It's absolutely
There's not many films
great.
that you can say that for, is there, where it matches its level of hype?
Well,
there's normally some point of disappointment in it, but not in this.
Well, that's it. There's nothing really too... I don't really have anything too negative to say about this film. It's exactly what I expected in terms of what it's about, the amount of praise that was heaped onto it. I had a certain expectation, and it met it on every level. It's absolutely fantastic, and I mean, we're just going straight into that, praising it. It's great. So it's a pretty simple concept, really. In fact, it could have been a really fucking boring movie in the wrong hands, because it's really Sandra Bullock lost in space, well, lost in Earth's orbit, really.
There's no real, like, people calling this a sci-fi. I think they're selling it short. This is much more of just a drama. It just happens to be in space.
Well, I would say it's a thriller.
Yeah, well,
it's tense. It's such a thriller. It actually borders on horror. It gets so fucking horrendous in places, but there is a story. So Sandra Bullock plays Ryan Stone, who is a medical engineer who she's developed some new technology to fit on the Hubble telescope, and so the NASA have recruited her and sent her up into space to fit it alongside Matt Kowalski, played by George Clooney, who's this kind of veteran astronaut. Kind of, actually just reflecting on it now, kind of stereotypical in that this is his last mission.
Yeah.
He's one day away from retirement. But they're working on the Hubble telescope, and something goes bad, essentially. It's reported that the Russians have detonated, destroyed an old satellite to get rid of it, and the demolition's gone wrong, and it's created this debris field that's now spiraling around the Earth at some fucking ridiculous speed, chopping everything up and causing mass destruction in the atmosphere, in the orbit. And it basically this debris field that's essentially like, it's just basically a barrage of bullets flying at them. Yeah. It's heading their way, and they've got to get out of there before shit hits the fan, and of course it does. And it's essentially just about Sandra Bullock and George Clooney kind of trying to survive and get back to Earth safely and not
Well,
fucking drift out into
original
space.
their original ship gets destroyed in the sort of initial attack from this debris. I've never been so scared of debris in my life, I've got to say.
I know, it's fucking pretty bad.
And it's not a spoiler to say that, because I think you see her getting destroyed in the whole film is about her getting back to Earth, and if her ship was working, it would be a pretty short film. So,
and we kind of alluded to the fact that Sandra Bullock is this kind of medical engineer, and George Clooney is this veteran astronaut, but there is no preamble. The film starts with this absolutely breathtaking shot of Earth from orbit, and then kind of spirals. It swings round over the kind of horizon of Earth, and then meets them hanging in orbit with their ship, docked with the is it the Hubble telescope?
Yeah,
I thought it was. It is a telescope.
It makes me wonder what she was attaching to it, if she's a medical engineer.
I think they did touch on it, didn't they? I can't remember.
I liked it, yeah, but
wasn't it some kind of scanning?
So yeah, some sort of scanner. But again, didn't really go into it, and I quite liked that there was no preamble. It was literally, she's got to get out of space. There was no.
It didn't have any preamble, as in it didn't show you her training for her mission or anything like that. But it kind of it filled out backstory for these characters.
Oh yeah,
very clever in a very clever way. In that they're just kind of chatting while they're working. And talking to each other, and when things shit hits the fan, they're asking each other questions about their lives back on Earth to keep each other calm, and it does flesh out these characters. And you kind of learn a lot about Sandra Bullock's character over the course of the film. And what is amazing, considering this is kind of a non-stop thrill ride, there's quite a lot of depth to the characters.
Loads of depth. You'd find, there's great thrillers out there. Like, I went to see Prisoners this year, which is one of the best thrillers I've ever seen, and I don't think I scratched the surface on what those characters are like. I mean, I've seen what they've done and I've discovered that about them, but history and stuff, no. This was exceptionally, I wouldn't even call it character development, but just like character exploration almost.
Yeah.
Like, we got to know them really well, but maybe it's just we were stuck with her for so long as well.
Yeah, it's very, very cleverly done, because it never feels like anything's stopping, so we get to know a little bit about the character, where loads of things get kind of expositionally dumped on us. It's nothing like that. It weaves these little kind of signals and signs about what these people are, who they are, and what they're about, very, very cleverly, with this kind of non-stop thrill ride of her drifting through space, avoiding the various dangers. And Sandra Bullock is pretty good in the part. She is good. What I actually found is she's not really immediately likable. You kind of, as you get to know her, you do kind of like her a bit more, but she's a bit cold, maybe a bit stuffy at first, I found, but she is good in the part.
She's excellent. And regarding getting to like her more and more, it's probably half due to circumstances of going through this with her, but then it's half finding out, why she's like this.
Yeah.
And I think she handles everything really well, and considering the impressive amount of actresses they went through before they got to her, have you seen that list, by the way?
No, but I was aware that it did take them a while to cast it, probably.
Well, I'll find it while we're talking. But I think Natalie Portman was the favourite for a while. Angelina Jolie had it, and I can't see anyone else in the role now except her.
No, she is good. She is very good, and it's kind of frustrating that Sandra Bullock won her Oscar for fucking the fucking Blind Side, because that was a mediocre at best fucking white guilt movie. Whereas this is actually a much more sophisticated performance by her, and it'll be interesting to see if she gets the same recognition or same level of recognition. But you know what? I tell you who I fucking loved in this movie. There's many people to choose from, but fucking George Clooney. I think
George Clooney was class.
George Clooney he's probably my favourite movie star. He is like such an old classic Hollywood star. He's so fucking good. Everything he's in, I fucking love him. Even going so far back as Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, what a film that is, though.
His first film, if I recall, or one of them. But
just like that film, in this film, like, every scene that Sandra Bullock's in is amazing because she was great in the part, and every shot was, like, shot the hell out of. But George Clooney just added this touch of class to proceedings.
Yeah, he's so cool. And he comes across as this very a bit like what we said about Tom Hanks in Captain Phillips. He comes across as this very real character. He's not this kind of hotshot Yankee space cowboy. He's
Yeah.
this quite obviously, he's quite. He carries a lot of weight to his character, and he's obviously very experienced and very respected. And he's done this a long time, and he's very good at what he does, and it kind of very much comes across
Yeah.
just from his manner. He's very laid back and very cool under pressure, and I thought he was great. I really did.
Considering some of the the shit that goes down while he's around, whenever he's like talking to us, or because a lot of the time you're with Sandra Bullock or you're even in a helmet, just when he's talking to you, it's like it's okay, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, and I think I could probably get through a lot of stuff with George Clooney. Help me along.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, I thought George. I think them two I mean, they're not the only people in this movie. I mean, did you know Ed Harris was Mission Control?
yeah. I only found that out at the end when I stayed for the credits because I was that impressed by the film. I actually stayed for the credits without any hope of a stinger. That's amazing, isn't it? I didn't know what they were going to do. It turns out that this is a Guardians of the Galaxy teaser or something, but. Yeah, Ed Harris. He's the only guy that can play NASA Control.
Yeah, you don't even see him. I mean, in fact, I don't think Sandra Bullock is missing from any scene at all. I think this follows her, as you said, almost sitting in a helmet for a lot of it. And there are some great sequences that are first-person shots of her climbing through space stations in these really claustrophobic zero-G environments, and that's one thing that is very impressive about this film. Is first of all, it looks fucking gorgeous, and I'm very positive that a lot of these kind of orbital shots of Earth are CGI, but you would never know.
No, well, I think I made the point of when we did the Star Trek review, this Star Trek took my level of CGI to a new level because normally it's like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's amazing. And then Star Trek was like, I don't know how they did that. This took it a step further for me because the literally only way that I can see that they did this is if they took their actors to space.
It's unfucking believable. It's like it's something that Stanley Kubrick would be fucking amazed at, just the level of planning in every shot.
Yeah.
And Alfonso Cuarón is fucking amazing for having made this. I can only imagine this was a huge passion project for him.
Yeah, well, it has been. I mean, he was planning this from before Avatar, I was reading, and he was like, when James Cameron released that, he's like, right, let's get this going. And then, even then, when was Avatar? 2009?
10.
2010,
so I think it was the Christmas 2009 going into 2010, maybe?
Well, when he saw, so it's taken from then for them to make it anyway. So it has been it is definitely a passion project. He wrote it with his brother.
Yes.
And I think if you've seen Children of Men, there's those two long shots in that film that kind of define it.
Yeah, I was actually just going to about to bring this up in that he is the king of the tracking shot.
There's no way you can talk about this film without talking about tracking shots.
Well, I think the whole opening kind of destruction sequence is practically one. I think the first 15 minutes of this film are quite possibly maybe one. I would say no more than 3 or 4 shots just strung together. And that's that. And when if going as high as 4, that may be 2 quick pans to people's faces, and then 10 minutes of fucking non-stop flowing action.
Yeah, I think it's less than that, Ben, because I think that every time that it pans someone's face, it is a camera swing, and maybe there's a clever cut hidden in there, but he's done it so well you can't tell.
Yeah, it's
and the first
so
direct
seamless.
cut is like after, like she gets tethered back to George Clooney.
Yeah.
That must be about 20 minutes into the first hard cut of the film.
Oh yeah, and it just adds to this tense breathlessness of the situation of the atmosphere of the film, which just serves to enhance how fucking terrible this situation is.
Yeah. And can you imagine how hard this was to film, though? I mean, it was saying that it looks spectacular anyway with the amount of zero-G they've got on, but the bit where she's in the ISS, and however the frig they made her float through that thing, that must be like 9 minutes long, and she had to like hit every mark on the spot so everything was triggered correctly.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It just adds a next level of difficulty to.
I can only imagine how they've gone about doing this. Were they on wires or harnesses getting bobbed about, and it's all just been CGI'd out. It definitely wasn't shot in zero-G, but you wouldn't fucking think it looking at it. It's absolutely spectacular. Yeah, this film looks fucking beautiful. It's an incredibly tense thrill ride.
Did you see it in
And
3D? Or
no, I actually just caught the 2D show, and I was considering going to the IMAX, but
yeah,
it wasn't going to fit in with the time I had available.
yeah.
But I understand you did, and I could imagine this is probably one of the few films that would be good in 3D.
This is easily my favorite 3D film I've seen, and my favorite IMAX film as well. It's just, because at most times the edge of the screen's just completely black because it's space, so it kind of just blends into the whole cinema, and you just there. You can't see anything else, and the depth that they managed to put onto the screen was fantastic. And I've got to say, there wasn't any cheesy shots, but every now and again, some of the debris did fly at you. But it was really well done. Did you go? You saw G.I. Joe Retaliation? Remember when you see it in 3D?
I think I might have. I'm not
Oh, right.
sure.
Well, there's a really good time in that when there's like someone fires a bullet at the screen, and it was terrifying. And this was like really well done. Like when there's stuff flying at you, it never felt cheesy once. I think it was just more like
It,
things are just whizzing past you, and you were just supposed to get a chance to realize how close she was to getting hit all
yeah,
these times.
I mean, I think even watching it in 2D, you could tell that this was a film made for 3D in mind. There was some
Yeah,
things. There's a bit early on where Sandra Bullock drops a kind of bolt and
yeah.
it drifts towards the screen, and George Clooney like slides over to get it, and it comes right at you. I was thinking, yeah, that's definitely a 3D shot. That maybe loses a bit of its
I'd,
effect, but
I'd completely forgotten about that one because there's so much other stuff that probably was just more. I always find 3Ds better when it's used subtly and just to sort of give a scale to things, and them are the shots I remember.
well, one thing with this film is you could almost describe it as a theme park ride in that it takes about 3 minutes to start going, and then it's pretty much non-stop, just kind of digging your fingernails in the armrest, tense
Which actually
action.
happens.
It's crazy fast moving, and it never gets boring, and never really treads over old ground either. It's constantly moving, constantly doing new things
And you know what
with
was
this
good? I couldn't
environment.
predict what was going to happen.
No,
Like,
I
because
was wondering because it's unapologetically bleak.
yeah,
So I was thinking and basically when I was going into it, I was thinking, well, there's only really two outcomes that this can possibly have. One is that everyone dies, everyone just drifts off into space and dies, or there's some really cheesy Hollywood fucking, hey, we get back to Earth, like surfing on a fucking panel that's come off a spaceship. And I was
yeah.
thinking, how are they going to really end this without it being kind of just uninspiringly predictable or ridiculously Hollywood cheesy? And they manage.
They
I'm not
really do
saying
manage.
what happens, but
I've got to say, at one point, I was like worried it was getting cheesy,
really, which
but
bit?
um, when she's just after she's listened to the Chinese man on the radio,
All right, yeah.
but I kind of knew something was amiss, and it turned out to just be an amazing sort of piece of like drama, good writing.
Yeah,
Uh,
I thought that was quite good, actually.
I loved it.
I didn't
I loved
expect
it.
it, actually.
No, and that's why, like, at first, there's so many different, like, this is why I say it can't be predictable. When that knock happens on the capsule, I assumed it was rescue coming for her.
I did, actually. And even when I saw the face first, I thought it was Chinese astronauts.
Yeah, and
And
I thought they'd
it's
killed her
not.
or something. And, like, I was just at all points when the storyline just broke off. I didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah, it is
And
unpredictable
considering how simple
because,
the film is, how simple the story is, I think that's really impressive.
well, I'm going to say if it wasn't for the hype and I suppose the pedigree behind this film, you could almost be forgiven for writing it off as maybe something closer to Adrift. Do you remember Adrift?
Yeah.
Than anything actually good. I got to say, when I first kind of heard about it, I was thinking, God, it's just going to be some fucking poor bint bobbing around in space for 2 hours, then die in a horrible death.
Yeah.
Like Adrift is, where them arseholes are bobbing around in the ocean and get eaten by sharks.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, but this is, you couldn't get further away from the truth. This is probably, I don't know whether it's my favorite film this year, but it's probably the best film I've seen all year. And it's certainly probably it sounds so pretentious as shit, but it's probably the most important film we've seen this year. It's such a well crafted film in every regard. It's exciting and incredibly tense. I touched on it before that. I mean, this is a thriller as far as I'm concerned. It keeps you biting your nails and wondering what the fuck's going to happen. Your skin's crawling. You don't want these characters to die, but there's so much stacked against them, and it gets so like gut-clenchingly, sickeningly tense that it almost borders on horror for me. Whereas space is the monster that's trying to kill these characters. And I fucking loved it. It looks gorgeous. There's some amazing tracking shots, and it's some of the best direction I've seen in, fucking ages.
It's really, like, made me completely excited by anything, like, Alfonso Cuarón gets his hands on now.
I mean, I love Children of Men.
Yeah, well, I like Children of Men from a like a directorial standpoint, but it's not my favorite film, like, as a piece of entertainment. But I think
it's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's much more heavy than I was expecting. I was like, these disposable sci-fi films that do get made.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen Book of Eli with
oh God,
Denzel?
Yeah. Denzel.
That's the sort of level I was expecting. And
yeah, that was at the period where Denzel Washington was not doing good things.
Yeah. But Children of Men is like an actual, like, it's almost a horror as well. It's so real. And
it's more literary sci-fi than Hollywood sci-fi.
And I really like what he did with the third Harry Potter film, because I think that could have gone severely wrong and killed the franchise if he hadn't done it right.
I think, I must admit, I very much drifted off at the back end of the Harry Potter franchise. I don't think I've seen all of them, and if I have, I really don't remember them all that well. I certainly haven't seen the first part of Deathly Hallows. I've seen the second part.
First part's really good.
I caught up.
It's so bleak, the first part.
Well, see, I remember there was very mixed reviews. It seems that Harry Potter fans were like, yay, it's Harry Potter, but people who just went to see the films were like, it was three arseholes wandering around in the woods, not doing very much.
Well, yeah, nothing happens, but I think it's really good, like, characters, progression occurs in it. It's probably my favourite out of all 7.
Really?
Yeah.
I think Prisoner of Azkaban's good. I think that was the first one that I actually thought, you know what, this has potential.
Yeah.
Because the
first
first one...
Chris Columbus had done the same again on the third one.
Oh, God.
And I can't watch the first 2 films, they're crap.
They have not aged well.
No. And considering the time travel element at the end of the third book, time travel is so hard to do on screen, especially when you get 2 timelines interacting at the same time.
Yeah.
But with he used tracking shots in Harry Potter because... Like, he used the same shot twice, and then the second time round he'd have it from a different angle, but the exact same shot and stuff, and it just worked well. And I'm just looking forward to what he's going to do next.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. He's got a few...
for this.
Sorry, what was that?
I hope he gets some credit for this.
Well, I think this is going to be an Oscar favourite. Whether it'll win, I don't know. I think it maybe will lose out to some more sentimental things, or more politically charged things, maybe like 12 Years a Slave, which, to be fair, I've heard is going to be pretty good. But I certainly think this will be touched on by the award season, and it fucking deserves to. I was impressed. I would go and see this again a few times. Actually, I'd happily do it a few times. It was so good, and I think it's going to be. It would be wrong for us not to give this a gold star.
Good. I was hoping you'd say that.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it actually before coming in.
No.
But
I was really worried because we're only allowed to give one away. Yeah, and we've already done Star Trek. I was like, I hope he lets me give this a gold star because it just deserves it. In fact, if you weren't going to let me give this a gold star, I was going to ask if we could knock Star Trek down because this is just so much more spectacular, even if Star Trek had the fun element on its side.
Well, I think the thing with Star Trek is we saw it. I saw it on. That was my last IMAX film, and it was just so much fun. I had a great time with it. I don't think necessarily it's this kind of high, great film kind of that'll go down in history as such. But I just had a really good time with that film, and we did the review fairly soon after watching it. And I was still kind of riding the high. But this is that basically won its gold star on just how much entertainment factor it had. Whereas this is winning it on just how fucking well made it is.
Yeah, this would win it on that alone, but the fact that I enjoyed it so much as well just sort of cements it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was very entertaining. I hope it does well.
Yeah, me too.
I can see it going either way. I think it's going to be word of mouth. I think it's really going to be word of mouth. I think some people like us, the enthusiasts who go out a lot, will see it, and then it'll spread. People recommending it. But
I've got to say, it was packed. My IMAX screening I was in was entirely full.
Right, good. I got to say, I went to see it like Thursday morning at 10 in the morning, and I've been to the cinema I would go to. I've been sitting by myself when I've gone that time before, and it was half full at that
Yeah,
time.
well, that's for a Thursday morning. Yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah, so it's obviously it was the first showing as well. So,
All right.
so it's obviously getting some people in. So yeah, I hope it does well because, god damn, it's such a spectacular fucking film. But it's crossed space off the list for me. I never want to go there.
It was the first thing I said when the credits finished, like because
Fuck
not many people
space.
did leave, and I just like said "fuck space" really loud. I think like everyone heard.
So where's home, Dr. Stone?
Lake Zurich, Illinois.
Is there somebody down there looking up, thinking about you?
I had a daughter. A little girl with brown hair. Tell her that I'm not quitting.